Good morning, my students. This is me, Dr.هاني الحسني, and that's the course of novel for junior students. I hope that you already read something for the chapters we have talked about in 1984 novel. So we have 1984 novel by George Orwell, and we just finished about 14 chapters. We need to continue from chapter 15 till the end if we can, but usually we try to convey the message within a few minutes, and the few minutes will help us to understand all the sequence that happen after chapter 14. So within chapter 15, what happened here? The chapter started with very how to say, like, we have crying, like he woke up and at the same time his eyes full of tears, and the crying here, it looks like it will be awful for the actions. It will be awful for him, and something bad is coming. It looks like a bad omen for him. So Julia would sleep against him, murmuring something that might have been, "What's the matter?" So it looked like an unwell condition. And Mr. Charrington antique shop room already looked like they need to leave that room. So Julia is always with him, and then he tells her that he has been dreaming of his mother, and until that moment he has subconsciously believed that he murdered her. So he felt that he's reason behind his or her killing, and like he suddenly gripped with the sequence of memories. He has a lot of memories here. He remember his childhood and what happened to his father, even like what happened to his mother, and his baby sister spent most of their time in underground shelters, hiding from air raids, often going without food. So that's a very bad moment and memories. He revived it during chapter 15. Even his lover Julia around him, but he's not feeling well. Then Winston talk about one story that happened during his childhood when he stole some chocolate from people, and then he ran away. He never see them again. He hates the party for having eliminated human feelings, and he believed that the proles or the public people still human, but he didn't believe the party or party members, they are a human. He think that they are cruel people and they don't deserve life, and party members like him and Julia are forced to suppress their own feelings. They usually they clean or they brainwash them, and they just make them as a robot following their orders. And that's the point that he wanted to tell us in chapter 15. There is no emotions here. There is no emotions. So that's dreaming. And what happened to his past with his mother and father, sister, a lot of, like, her tiny sister, mother, that's the condition that he is trying to tell us. Everything with emotions is already taken by the party, and Julia already affirmed that from her side. So you can see the loss. He thought of the telescreen with its never sleeping air. They could spy upon you night and day, but if you kept your head, you could still outwit them. So it means if you didn't show the telescreen anywhere, they will not catch you. And the last here, with all their cleverness, they had never mastered the secret of finding out what another human being was thinking. So the most difficult part of the telescreen, how to get inside the head. So no one, the telescreen can catch pictures or can follow and trace your words, But if you keep silent and dreaming and thinking the telescreen will not find it out, perhaps that was less true when you were actually in their hands. So the other thing that inside the Ministry of Love, it was possible to guess tortures, drugs, delicate instruments that registered your nervous recreation, gradual wearing, sleepiness, and facts at any rate couldn't be kept hidden. That's how the way for describing chapter 15. And even in chapter 15, Winston and Julia worry because they know that if they are captured, they will be tortured and possibly killed. That's a normal thought that they face. Totally, if they caught, no hope of living. That's the way for describing. And also, the last, they agree that the wisest course of action would be to leave the room forever, but they cannot. So they think at the end of chapter 15 to leave Charrington room that they had the affair in it, in case nobody can catch them or they won't be caught by the party. That's how they save their relationship. In chapter 16, what we have here, at the beginning of the chapter, they had done it. They had done it at last. The room they were standing in was long-shaped and softly lit. So they leave it. They don't stay in the room in chapter 16, and the telescreen was dimmed to a low murmur. The richness of the dark blue carpet gave one of the impression of treading on velvet. At far end of room, O'Brien was sitting at table under green shaded lamp with a mass of papers on either side of him. He hadn't bothered to look up when the servant showed Julia and Winston in. And that in the course, we need to understand that traveling to O'Brien together, it takes like risk. It's so risky. And what happened with O'Brien here? O'Brien shocks Winston by turning off the telescreen, believing that he is free of the party's observation. So one of the trick that O'Brien did, he turning off the telescreen in case that Winston he fell in the trap and he will do what he like to do, and that's what he is looking for as an internal or inner party. The inner party member wants to make sure that Winston is doing something wrong. He rose deliberately from his chair and came towards them across the soundless carpet. A little official here. O'Brien was any kind of political conspirator, nothing but a flash of the eyes and single equivocal remark. Beyond that, only his own secret imaginings founded on a dream. So here O'Brien passed the screen. A thought seemed to strike him. He stopped, turned aside, and pressed a watch on the wall. There was a sharp snap. The voice had stopped. And that's how the description of what happened with O'Brien and Winston. And then Winston declared that he and Julia are enemies of the party and wish to join the Brotherhood. So the Brotherhood, they are quite like few people who wants to stand against the party. O'Brien tells him that the Brotherhood is real and Emmanuel Goldstein exists and is still alive, and leads them through a ritual song to initiate them into the order of rebellion. So what happened here? O'Brien is trying to convince them that he is in their side. He didn't show any kind of sign that he's against them, and that's what happened when he talked about Goldstein. There is such a person, Goldstein. Yes, there is such a person, and he is alive. That's how O'Brien replied Winston, and how he already engaged in the conversation. And then what happened here? O'Brien gave them wine, and also at that moment Julia leaves, and O'Brien promises to give Winston a copy of Goldstein book, the book that he is looking for. And in this book there is a revolutionary or manifestation of how to do a revolution. So in this chapter you can see how everything is raised up, and in this chapter, chapter 16, we could find the climax. How? Because we are feeling what will happen to Winston. Winston already asked if he means the place where there is no darkness, and O'Brien confirms by repeating the phrase. O'Brien fills Winston in on the missing verses from the Clemens Church rhyme, and Winston leaves, and O'Brien at that moment turns the screen on and returns to his work. So he already fell in a trap here, and he said what he hid for a while, and that's a way for the spy or the inner party members. At the end you can see here the Clemens rhyme already opened. Oranges and lemons say the pill of Clemens. So that's kind of song repeatedly can be opened by many people in the country. I hope that you enjoy chapter 16. For chapter 17, what happened here is too simple to guess. In chapter 17, Winston was like gelatinous with fatigue. It means he is saying kind of words spontaneously. His body seemed to haven't only the weakness of jelly, but it is translucency. He felt that if he held up his hand, he would be able to see the light through it. So Winston is so exhausted from what we recognize because of what? It is the middle of hate week. It's already hate week, and because of that he felt that Oceania already switched the enemies and allies in the ongoing war. Also, what happened here, speaker is forced to change his speech halfway through to the point, or to point out that Oceania is not at war with Eurasia. So here there is a kind of hate week, and they need to change their enemy for hate week. So we have here on the sixth day hate week, after procession, the speeches, the shouting, the singing, and then here they change hatred of Eurasia. It's already changed, and that's how the speaker talk about the evidence about Eurasia. They change East Asia was an ally. So they say Eurasia was an ally, but now it's back to be an enemy. That's how they deal with it. So we are now with war with East Asia. The people become embarrassed about carrying the anti-Eurasia signs and blame Emmanuel Goldstein agents. And Winston reads through Goldstein the theory of practice of oligarchical collectivism. So the Goldstein book already includes a lot of ideas. One of the ideas, there is a theory for oligarchical collectivism, and he found that Emmanuel Goldstein Winston began reading chapter 1, Ignorance is Strength. So it's like, here is the book. This book, Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism, and he found that his name, like the author Goldstein, and the first thing in chapter 1, Ignorance is Strength. So the fact is there, and after Ignorance is Strength, War is Peace, also another kind of anthem that mentioned here in chapter 3 and chapter 2. So War is Peace, slavery is freedom, ignorance is strength. That's how they taught people how to make it as an anthem or pillar. At the same time, they have nothing to add. That's long conversation. In the same time, what happened in chapter 17, we can find that Winston, what he did here for that chapter, Winston tried to read deeply of what happened with Goldstein book. Okay, so I think you as a reader, you can already check out other concepts or other ideas that you need to find out, like what happened in this chapter as well. Julia entered the room of Winston and she found him with that book. After it, Winston reads to Julia from the book. So both of them, they engage reading from that book, and he explained to her doublethink allows inner party member to be the most zealous about pursuing more war mentality. So that's one part of the book, double thinking, and we can find a lot of sentences with double thinking and a lot of statements, which is the theme or one theme of that kind of story. And here we have utopianism of past ages. We say that this kind of novel, it's for dystopian, not utopian. So utopian is something ideal or something we can follow, but this is what we call it's kind of dystopian novel in general. To continue again, we have here a lot of sentences that happen and the statements from the book. So the book of Goldstein in chapter 17, it's already revealed, and so many things is written, and the party members, they follow it. So a party members here lives from the birth to death under the eye of the thought police. That's how the party member will live their life. There is no peace. Even when he is alone, he can never be sure that he is alone. Wherever he may be asleep or awake, working or resting, in his bath or in bed, he can be inspected without warning and without knowing that he is being inspected. That's how the party watching and looking at their members. His friendship, his relaxations, his behavior towards his wife and children, everything, it's even the characteristics of movement, it's all jealousy scrutinized. So scrutinized, it means it's just registered. You cannot avoid it somehow. And here, when we think about the double thinking, when we say there is something known in Newspeak as double think. So double thinking is the idea we have had from reading that novel. Double think, it's already added into Newspeak. So fine, I think we're still in the condition of recognizing all the meaning and all the things that belong to Goldstein book, the theory that belong to Goldstein, and how the party or members of the party follow that book, the secretive book. Doublethink means the power of holding the two contradictory beliefs. So here we have the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them. So double thinking, it means two thinking in the same mind, and you have to accept both of them. It's very tough, but that's what happened in the book, and how the book it counted it. At last, Winston finally asked Julia if she is awake. She is not. She fell asleep, and his last thought is that sanity is not statistical. Sanity is not statistical. So that's how they count it. Like at the end, sanity is not statistical, with the feeling that remark contained in it a profound wisdom. When he woke it up, or when we woke up, the sensation of having slept for a long time, but a glance at old-fashioned clock told him that it was only 20:30. He lay dozing for a while, and then what happened? He awake again, and he continued to leave later on the place that he's looking to be in. Fine. So after that chapter, we recognize that Winston, for the first time in his life, he was looking at a member of the thought police. So there is something here happened in this chapter after a long time of reading. There is somebody already recognizing him, and that's the first time he found the thought police gazing him. So we expect that in chapter 18 there is something also bad coming. He didn't know where he was. So now in chapter 18, after the thought policeman standing in front of him, suddenly he woke up and he know where is he. Presumably he was in the Ministry of Love, but there was no way of making certain. He was in a high ceiling, windowless cell with walls of glittering white porcelain. So here the chapter 18, it mentioned already that he was in the prison. So he was arrested after reading that kind of book. And here, when we read about it, it means no more reading of the book, because he's already in the Ministry of Love jail, and for sure what happened with him, we can understand that Julia is already with him in the same cell or in the same prison, and he recognized also what happened to him here is a betrayal by O'Brien or by Julia. The first one that comes to his mind is Julia. He said Julia is betraying, or he felt that the betray. So we can understand again that the one sentence he mentioned by a poet, God in a Rudyard Kipling translation, is tossed into the cell. He is soon dragged away to the treated room 101. So in that chapter, if we check out what happened here, we can find the way that's been treated and how Winston suffered a lot, because later on they asked him to move to room 101. O'Brien might know that he had been arrested, and he had said never try to save its members. So the Brotherhood already given their word, there is no saving for their members, but there was the razor blade. They would send the razor blade if they could. They would be perhaps 5 seconds before the guard could rush into the cell. The blade would bite into him with a sort of burning, and you can see here the conversation about how O'Brien looked at him, and before moving, like here, he saw now why O'Brien had seemed to recognize the illusion in the mystery of life. There were no windows. His cell might be at the heart of the building against it all. He moved himself mentally from place to place. So till now you can see how the description that he did for what happened to him, and in that context we still find that O'Brien is around. What seemed like a long past, the pain in Western Billy had revived. So why? Because here room 101 is something awful. It's very complicated to hear room 101 is how, like, the most worst thing or the worst thing that happened to anybody is to be in room 101. No one will tolerate being there, and he had only six thoughts: that pain in his belly, a piece of bread, the blood, and screaming O'Brien, Julia. A lot of things that happened, plus the razor blade. That's how he became in torturing, and his psychology already down. He has no no hope. He live as a desperate person. No way for finding a hope toward being away from that room 101. The time, or this time, was started into self-forgetfulness. You hear, he said. So the conversation between O'Brien and Winston is growing up, and somebody asks, are you guilty? I mean, Winston asks, are you guilty? Of course I'm guilty. Parson cried. So Mr. Parson, with a survey glance at the screen, I am guilty. So down with Big Brother. Yes, I said that. So they looked at his diary and they found that he wrote down with Big Brother, and he already admitted, and he said it over and over again. It seems between you and me, old man, I'm glad they got me before it went any further. Thank you. Who denounced you? Said Winston. That's a conversation happened when he admitted a lot of mistakes that he had done. Like later on, what happened? O'Brien asserts that Winston has known O'Brien as a spy, and Winston admits that everything that mentioned in the diary is true. A guard already sent to Winston to interrogate him and ask him for more information. A guard smashes Winston's elbow, so Winston's elbow already broken, and Winston thinks that no one can become a hero in the face of physical pain because it's too much to endure. So at that moment, after he got smashed by the guard, already Winston felt something totally changed, as he has no face, or he has no energy to do anything against the power. I wish that we can continue more, but I think if you want to continue, we need just to cover chapter 19 in a quick. In chapter 19, what happened here in room 101 to Winston? O'Brien oversees Winston, and O'Brien already watched his torture sessions. So O'Brien already engaged in torturing sessions that been already with Winston. That's why O'Brien tells Winston that his crime was refusing to accept the party's control of history and his memory. And O'Brien increased the pain. Winston already agreed to accept what O'Brien is holding up 5 fingers, and he knows that O'Brien is actually holding up only 4. So how O'Brien re-educate Winston? By showing him 5 fingers, and Winston should reply that these are, or what you have is only 4 fingers. That's how the simple style that O'Brien used to re-educate Winston. And he begins to love O'Brien because O'Brien stops the pain. He even convinces himself that O'Brien isn't the source of the pain. O'Brien also tells Winston that Winston's current outlook is insane, but that torture will cure him. It means the torture that he's doing to him, even it looked like very awful and is totally cruel. Winston believed that it's healing him. And there is one thing happen in this chapter, as we have one quotation: who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present controls the past. And then O'Brien tells Winston that the party has perfected the system, and also they need to think deeply about the relationship with Soviet, with Nazis, and others. And slowly Winston began to accept O'Brien's version of anything. What is his opinion? He will follow O'Brien. He also understand how to practice double thinking. He also know how to refuse the memory that he had for previous actions. And then O'Brien offers to answer the questions that Winston wants to ask. And Winston asked about Julia. O'Brien said that Julia already betrayed him, and that's why how he totally get down. Winston asked if Big Brother exists in the same way that others exist, and O'Brien replied that he doesn't exist. So Big Brother is not existed in reality. And Winston asked about the Brotherhood, and the O'Brien respond that Winston will never know the answer to that question. So O'Brien didn't give any answer to Big Brother or about Big Brother. In the same time, he asked what will happen to him in room 101, and O'Brien say that everyone knows what is waiting you in 101. So you can see how the person who already tortured you can talk to you and give a conversation. Even he made Winston believe that this torturing is kind of healing or a cure for his pain and for his miserable life. And that's the irony, that's the paradox. We can later talk in another video for the topics that involve in the coming chapters. Next week we will talk deeply about these chapters, and we will cover chapter 20 to the end of the novel. Why? Because like in chapter 19, a lot of conversations which are describing the torturing and the miserable life and the most important questions that Winston raised up and how it ended. So thank you very much for listening. I will see you later. I wish you the best, and please try to be posted. I will keep you posted as well with any update. Thank you very much.